Welcome, one and all, to the latest Astro Rant. As astrology is growing in popularity, I am becoming more and more increasingly passionate about sharing and educating people about the real self-empowering type of astrology. As astrology is growing in popularity, I'm unfortunately not seeing this deeper, realer astrology becoming more available. And so this is something I feel very called to continue to share. And I'm sure this next year I'm going to continue to put out videos like these because astrology should be an open source knowledge. It should be an open source wisdom. It should be open source information. This is self-empowerment for each and every one of us coming directly from nature. And the gift of astrology is that we can understand every experience in our life, not just what, but why. To understand every single phenomenon in our worldly experience, not just what, why. Why it's a part of our life, why it's a part of our unfolding. Now, today, actually, I think it was technically yesterday, but our Aquarius season has just begun. So the sun has just entered into the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is commonly associated with astrology. The ruler of Aquarius in modern astrology, Uranus, is oftentimes said to be the ruler of astrology. Aquarius is seeing, rules the eyes, rules perception. Astrology is a science. It's a science that you see. It's a science based off of actual evidence, gathering data, gathering statistics, so to prove, obviously, apparently, the living truth and reality of astrology. So astrology is not about belief. I'm going to say it's not even really about intuition. It is a science. And those that effectively have become educated and understand the science of astrology know how to use it in a way that improves our lives, in a way that transforms ours and others' lives, in a way that empowers us. Astrology allows us to see our own blind spots, to see our own unconscious dynamics, hidden patterns, in a way that gets us on track, not escaping, not avoiding, not running off into fantasies, not running off into blind faith. Astrology ends that capability to delude ourselves, to escape ourselves, to run off into fantasy. Astrology pulls us out of these superficial and man-made delusions because it is an objective science, what you can see, and it's not a guessing game. Now, as a practicing astrologer for about 7 years now, I see that the majority of so-called astrology and professional astrology is largely a guessing game. It's very general, it's very loose, it's kind of murky, it's not very specific, and so I'm going to continue to talk about astrology. I want this to be an open source information that you can use, practice, study, and research without having to invest all your money, without having to go into these big schools. Because I'll be very, very honest, folks, a very, very small percentage of people that are passionately interested in astrology actually take upon themselves the task of learning real astrology. And there's a lot of unfortunate reasons for this. I hear from a lot of people, I'm not an astrologer, I can't learn that or that technique or that system, or it's too beyond me, or it's too, that's for intelligent people, that's for other astrologers. And that's not true at all. Astrology is actually ridiculously simple. It is amazingly reaffirming. The proof is in the pudding. And the reason why we don't see many people get to that recognition or realization is because there's not quality astrologer teachers or teachings or education being made available. Okay, so you do not need to be an astrologer to use astrology. And what I would like to focus on today as the kind of centerpiece or the main theme of this video is if you want to really understand astrology, start looking at it. Use your eyes. Keep your eyes on the clock. There's a wonderful website created by Kirk Kahn, www.planetwatcher.com. Planetwatcher.com is the clock. You see the planets at this particular moment in time. You can rewind the clock backwards and forwards, and you can start seeing the astrology, seeing the time, seeing it on a moment-to-moment basis. And those of you that are passionate in astrology, those that actually want to learn astrology, you have your eyes on the clock. You're watching the transiting planets. Because if we're just reading about it from other astrologers, other bloggers, we're getting robbed. Are we actually gaining an education? Are we actually gaining an insight? Are we learning the self-empowering tool and method of astrology? So keep your eye on the clock. Watch those transits. Compare it and contrast it with your lived experience, because that's how you're going to start learning astrology in the real lived experience, as opposed to just listening to the other quacks or the other talking heads out there. There are so many people that have a full education of astrology that don't know how to use it effectively. One of the reasons I'm very passionate about evolutionary astrology, as was taught by Jeffrey Wolf Green, is this is a system that provides very specific and articulate methods and approaches to astrology that allows us to zoom in on what are the highlighted themes, what are the important areas. It gives a structure to astrology, the birth chart, and our life. It allows us to see the heavier, the lighter parts of our chart and how it's all stitched and woven together in a very complex and a very articulate symbol that is our life, that is our soul. And we are our birth chart. One of the most common prejudices against astrology, one of the number one reasons I think people don't want to learn it or want to know it and keep their ears generally plugged, is people are afraid of being pigeonholed. Oh, you're a Gemini. Oh, you're a Capricorn. You're like this, that, the other thing. Bop, 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 bop. If astrology ever sounds like this, oh, bop, 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 bop. Oh, this is going to happen to you. Oh, this is how you are. It's not real astrology. It's a bullshit, overly simplified, overly generalized machine coming from someone who hasn't actually taken the time to learn real astrology. Real astrologers are very few and far between. I actually set the bar high and say an astrologer is not someone who has a choice. An astrologer sees the patterns and the cycles of life whether they want to or not. It is a seeing, not a believing, not an assuming, not an intuition even. It's not like, oh, this just suddenly clicked together. No, it is science. It is A plus B equals C. It is you mix these ingredients, you get this reaction. And we see it all play out in time. Very pragmatically, very sequentially. And so I'm going to share with you all a little bit of a technique here. And again, what I'm saying is start to look at the clock. Keep your eye on the clock. The real astrologers, the people that are really interested, the people that want to learn, have their eye on the clock. They don't just have their eye on me. How self-empowering is it if you're dependent on me, right? I want everybody to have this self-empowerment themselves, okay? There are many, many so-called astrologers that don't have this open source approach or mood towards astrology. Oh no, astrology is the occult. Oh, it's only for the initiated. Folks, there's no secret wisdom at this point in time. The only folks selling you secret wisdom or occult knowledge are people that are scamming you. And they don't know shit. Because there are no secrets. All of the wisdom has been published, but nobody's researching it. Nobody's learning it. You can. You can learn astrology in such a self-empowering way. You can know more than what the majority of people believe is possible to know. Right? I mean, you want to enter the world of know-it-alls? You've come to the right place. But these so-called astrologers, it's like, oh yeah, we'll give you some information. You got to keep coming back. You got to keep coming back. If you have ever had that experience with a so-called astrologer, don't go back. They're scamming you. A good astrologer is going to give you a life-changing experience in a 60-minute conversation. You will be a different person than you will be. It's like a dozen therapy sessions in a 60-minute reading. That's an effective astrology reading. Not many people know how to provide that. Well, you can learn. So, first of all, start looking at the clock. Here's an easy way to discern someone who's knowledgeable about astrology versus one of the many, many fakers and bullshitters. Someone who's writing or blogging or talking about astrology and they're never mentioning planetary aspects, conjunctions, oppositions, squares, quincunx, biquintiles, these are the degree relationships between planets. It's one of the most critical underlying ways of interpreting all astrology. If you're reading a blog post and it's just this planet entered this sign and it's this full moon or this new moon in that sign, there's no mention of planetary aspects. It's beyond an amateur astrologer. It's someone who hasn't even encountered real astrology. Okay, so that's a simple way to discern. And another really, really important technique is planetary rulerships. I use modern rulerships. That means that we have the 3 recently discovered planets. Uranus rules Aquarius, Neptune rules Pisces, Pluto rules Scorpio. Okay? Planetary rulerships is a really quick and easy way to look into your chart, understand what planets are particularly affecting you. And now you can take a look at the clock and you can pay attention to that specific planet that you are more affected by. And now that gives you an area to zoom in on. Let's say, for example, you have all of your planets. You have 6 or 7 planets in Taurus. Well, the ruler of Taurus is Venus, and you're going to be someone highly affected by transiting Venus. If you have all your planets in Aries, you're going to be highly affected by transiting Mars. All your planets in Sagittarius, highly affected by Jupiter. Other highlighted parts of your chart will be the sign of your moon's south node. It's going to be an incredibly influential planet in terms of transits. You can also look at what planets in your chart are aspecting the other planets in your chart. Let's say we see your Mars aspecting 9 other planets in your chart. It's aspecting the rest of your chart. It's trine Pluto, quincunx, the Sun, conjunct Jupiter and Saturn. If you see Mars contacting every other planet in your chart, it means you have a very strong Mars. And now start paying attention to the transiting Mars in your chart. And of course, if you have many planets in the 12th, many planets aspecting Neptune, many planets in Pisces, you will be affected by the overall soup, regardless of whether or not you want to. Astrology can therefore be a particularly empowering tool and science for those who possess a natural sensitivity to the world and the collective dynamics around them. So that's my rant for today. Again, keep your eye on the clock. This is the way to learn astrology through actual lived experience, as opposed to just reading books, as opposed to just following other so-called astrologers. Okay? We can use astrology to understand every phenomenon in our life. Today we have the sun entering Aquarius conjoined Saturn. A year from now, the sun will join Saturn. A year from then, the sun will join Saturn. Every single time the sun conjoins Saturn, we're going to have a particular lived experience. We're going to observe particular phenomenon in the world. And if we keep our eye on the clock, we'll start to form the connections. The next year, we notice similar phenomenon. We have similar experiences. We start to develop an actual personal lived understanding and connection to the archetype, the planet Saturn. There is nothing else in reality that allows us to do this. There is nothing else in reality that allows us to connect the dots of these lived patterns that is life, nature, all phenomenon, and all experience. Science is the seeing of nature. Math is the study of patterns. Astrology is math, it is science, it is not religion. This is not a cult. Well, it probably will be a cult because there'll be people that choose to know and people that choose to not know. But what I would say is that a huge amount of people that say they're interested in astrology, they choose to not know. They choose to not learn about their chart. They choose to seek out astrologers that do not empower them, but actually delude them, lead them into their fantasies, lead them away from their healing and evolutionary work. So a huge amount of people that claim to be interested in astrology do not want to know. Knowledge is not all fun and games. It's not a vacation. It is work. It takes effort. It takes practice, and it's only, therefore, the souls that are really passionate, not only about learning astrology, but knowing about reality, knowing about some of the more hidden and difficult aspects of reality. And because many people don't want to go there, very few people actually learn astrology. It's going to take a courageous, brave, very courageous soul to actually become devoted and learn astrology. So I encourage you, face your fears, become self-empowered. It's not just astrologers that can use astrology to become aware. Astrology is a tool for healing, for evolution, and becoming more self-aware and therefore more empowered than any other tool, gift, or science I have come across in my life. So I will continue to be passionate and excited to rant and rave and, blah, 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 use my Gemini motor mouth. And let's make astrology more open source. All of the greatest wisdom, all of the greatest astrologers, most of their publications are online for free. For those who are seeking extra consultation information, I do offer mentorship sessions. And in my astrology school, the next couple weeks, I'm going to be publishing a video on moon transits, which is exactly what I talked about in this video. It's how to keep your eye on the clock. And by tracking the moon 360 degrees every month, we get an opportunity to tune into our chart and collective dynamics through actually lived experience. It's not making this stuff up. It's not a guessing game. And it's not just us believing, following, or intuiting. The proof is in the pudding. And I'm excited for us all to share in this collective vision, this collective recognition together. Until next time, Gemini Motormouth over and out.